All right, ready to dive deep. Today, we're going to journey back to ancient Athens. But forget togas and temples for a second, because we're about to meet a trio that could rival any modern-day drama. Socrates, the philosopher, Alcibiades, the ambitious general, a real mover and shaker. And then there's Callias, a wealthy priest.
And what ties these three together? Well, get ready for it. It's the Eleusinian Mysteries.
Okay, mysteries. Sounds intriguing, but for those of us who skipped that day in history class.
Imagine this. A society where the promise of the afterlife wasn't just some abstract idea, but a tangible, attainable thing. That's the power these mysteries held. They were huge in ancient Greece. Promised initiates a blessed afterlife.
Okay, now we're talking. Life, death, the afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone was big on the gods back then, right? What made these mysteries so different, so special?
Think of it this way. These weren't just your everyday rituals. We're talking about a direct experience, a vision, something that would fundamentally change you, prepare you for the afterlife. And the secrecy? Oh man, it was ironclad. You told what you saw, well, let's just say it was a one-way ticket to some serious bad juju.
Now that's how you build suspense. A life-altering secret. No wonder those mysteries were the talk of the town. Okay, so we've got the mysteries. But how do our guys, Socrates, Alcibiades, Callias, how do they fit in?
Each of them, they represent a different facet of Athenian life. You've got Socrates pushing those intellectual boundaries, challenging the way people think. Then there's Alcibiades, charismatic, ambitious, a natural leader. But, well, let's just say he had a knack for ruffling feathers. And lastly, there's Callias, a man of wealth, power, deeply entrenched in these Eleusinian mysteries.
So the philosopher, the politician, and the priest. How did their paths cross?
Well, believe it or not, Alcibiades was actually one of Socrates' students.
No way. That's quite the pairing.
Oh, it gets even better. Imagine this. A battlefield, pure chaos. And amidst all the bloodshed, Socrates, known for his wisdom, saves a young, reckless Alcibiades' life. Not once, but twice.
Hold on, I thought Socrates was all about pondering life's big questions, not dodging spears.
He was a complex guy, that Socrates, fought in several battles, actually. But despite this bond forged in, let's say, less than ideal circumstances, their personalities clashed. Alcibiades, you see, he craved power, ambition fueled his every move. Not exactly the Socratic way, you know?
I can see how that would cause some friction, the wise mentor and the ambitious student. What happened? Did Alcibiades stray from the philosophical path?
Stray is an understatement. Alcibiades, he thrived on controversy. Case in point, the alleged profanation of the Eleusinian mystery.
Oh boy, now we're getting to good stuff. To mess with something as sacred as those mysteries. Well, what did he do?
That's the thing, the details. They're lost to time. The accusation alone, though, that was enough to send shockwaves through Athens. Think about it. These rites were about connecting with the divine, a glimpse into the afterlife. Defiling them, that was the ultimate taboo.
Makes you wonder what really went down. Okay, so we've got Alcibiades accused of this huge offense and Socrates, the former mentor. But where does Callias fit in? Seems like he's been off stage for a while.
Oh, Callias is a fascinating character, trust me. He and Alcibiades, let's just say, there was no love lost between them. We're talking deep-seated rivalry, stemming from childhood, actually. Grew up in the same household, can you imagine?
Talk about family drama, ancient Greek style. What's the link to Alcibiades and the mysteries?
There are whispers, rumors that a young Alcibiades plotted to, well, eliminate Callias, to get his hands on his fortune.
Whoa, hold on. A murder plot.
It's all speculation, of course, shrouded in the mists of time.
So we've got power struggles, accusations of sacrilege, whispers of murder. Sounds like this is going to be a wild ride. But we'll have to wait for the next part to untangle it all. Okay, so last time, we left off with ancient Athens caught in this whirlwind of ambition, betrayal, you name it. And just to spice things up, there's a massive war going on. Talk about a recipe for disaster.
The Peloponnesian War. Athens versus Sparta, two titans clashing, each fighting for their vision of Greece.
Exactly. And we've got Alcibiades, always the ambitious one, right in the thick of it. What's his play in all this chaos?
He saw an opportunity, a chance to etch his name in the history books. Athens was stuck in a stalemate with Sparta, you see. So Alcibiades, he cooks up this daring plan, the Sicilian expedition.
Sicilian expedition, wasn't that?
Oh, it was a bold move. The goal,
Yeah.
capture Sicily. Think about it. Cut off Sparta's supply lines, gain valuable resources. Alcibiades was aiming for a knockout blow.
And I'm guessing things didn't exactly go according to plan.
You could say that. Picture this. A massive Athenian fleet, hundreds of ships ready to set sail. Alcibiades, he's leading the charge, ready to conquer Sicily. But then,
There's always a but, isn't there?
remember those charges against Alcibiades? The profanation of the mysteries?
Right. Those charges were still hanging over his head.
Exactly. Just as the fleet was about to depart, he summoned back to Athens to stand trial.
Talk about terrible timing. What did he do?
Alcibiades, he wasn't one to go down without a fight. He must have smelled a trap, sensed his enemies closing in. So he does the unthinkable. He escapes.
Escapes. How?
Flees Athens in the dead of night, vanishes. Eventually, he turns up, and you guessed it, Sparta.
No way. He joined the enemy.
That's our Alcibiades. But this betrayal, this act of defiance, it sealed his fate in Athens. He went from celebrated general to public enemy number one.
And the Sicilian expedition. What happened without their fearless leader?
It was a catastrophe. The Athenian fleet decimated, thousands of soldiers dead or captured. Athens was crippled, their resources depleted, a turning point in the war, no doubt.
So we've got Athens reeling from this defeat, and Alcibiades, their former golden boy, now leading the charge for the enemy. Where does Socrates fit into all of this? I can't imagine he was too pleased.
Socrates, you see, he'd always been wary of the war, saw it as a distraction, a symptom of something rotten at the core of Athenian society. He believed in reason, in dialogue, in questioning everything. War. That was the antithesis of everything he stood for.
Ironic, isn't it? His former student, embracing the chaos while Socrates is back in Athens, grappling with its consequences.
It's a stark contrast, and this is where it gets really interesting. While Athens is struggling to make sense of this betrayal, Socrates, he introduces one of his most enduring ideas, the allegory of the cave.
Ah, yes. The one with the prisoners chained in a cave, mistaking shadows for reality. But what does this allegory have to do with, well, everything that's going on?
On the surface, it's about seeking truth, breaking free from ignorance. But some scholars, they see a deeper layer, a critique of the Eleusinian mysteries themselves.
Now that's a bold claim. How could a philosophical allegory be a critique of those sacred rituals?
Think about it. The mysteries, they promised a life-altering vision, a glimpse into the true nature of reality, right? Well, the allegory of the cave, it also talks about enlightenment, about the prisoner escaping the cave and seeing the world for what it truly is.
Are you suggesting that Socrates was implying that the vision offered by the mysteries, that it was just another form of illusion, another shadow on the cave wall?
It's a dangerous idea to entertain, especially in those times. The mysteries were deeply ingrained in Athenian society. To question them was tantamount to heresy.
And remember, Socrates is already under suspicion, linked to the now traitorous Alcibiades. Introducing an allegory that could be seen as critical of the mysteries, that's playing with fire. Last time on our deep dive, we left Athens hanging by a thread. War, betrayal, the once great city was on shaky ground. Alcibiades, their golden boy turned traitor, well, he was off with Sparta, leaving Socrates to face the music. And he just dropped this bombshell allegory, potentially calling out the sacred Sicilian mysteries themselves. Talk about adding fuel to the fire. So what happens to Socrates?
The city was hurting. They needed someone to blame, someone to bear the brunt of their anger and fear.
And Socrates, with his unconventional ideas, his connection to Alcibiades, he becomes the perfect scapegoat. What were the exact charges against him?
Impiety. Basically disrespecting the gods. And they threw in corrupting the youth of Athens for good measure.
Those seem pretty broad, don't they? What evidence did they have?
That's the thing about Athens. They had this system, right? A legal system. But after the whole ordeal with the 30 tyrants, they'd agreed on an amnesty, meant to be a fresh start. No more digging up old grudges.
So Socrates should have been protected.
Exactly. But Athens, they were traumatized. Years of war, the betrayal, the loss. They were grasping for anyone to blame.
And Socrates, he'd always been a thorn in their side, challenging their beliefs. I could see how he became an easy target.
It's all about context, right? And remember Aristophanes, the playwright. Years earlier, he'd written this satire, The Clouds. And well, it poked fun at Socrates.
The Clouds. Wasn't that the one that painted Socrates as a bit of a space cadet?
You could say that, but even though it was meant to be funny, those portrayals, they stick with people. They shape public opinion.
So you've got this perfect storm,
Mm-hmm.
a city on edge, a controversial figure, and the lingering sting of public ridicule. How does Socrates handle himself at the trial? Does he try to smooth things over, or does he stay true to form and challenge everything?
Socrates being Socrates, he turns the whole trial into a philosophy lesson. Instead of just defending himself, he starts dissecting the charges. What is piety? How do you define virtue? He picks apart their arguments, exposes their hypocrisy.
He was something else, wasn't he? Always questioning, always pushing.
He even points out that many of his former students who were present at the trial were known for their good character. How could he be corrupting the youth if they turned out to be upstanding citizens?
Well, it's like he's putting Athenian society itself on trial.
In a way, he is. He argued that a life unexamined wasn't worth living, that questioning everything, even your most cherished beliefs, was the path to true wisdom. His defense, it was brilliant, defiant, a testament to his belief in reason and living an ethical life, no matter the cost.
Powerful stuff. But sadly, it wasn't enough to sway the jury.
No, they found him guilty, sentenced him to death.
Hemlock, right?
The poison of choice in ancient Athens.
A tragic end for a man who lived for truth and knowledge. But his death, it's almost as famous as his life, isn't it? Why do you think Socrates' story still resonates with us today after all these centuries?
It's a timeless story, isn't it? It's a warning about how easily justice can be twisted, how fear and uncertainty can be manipulated.
It's about the importance of standing up for what you believe in, about having the courage to question everything.
Socrates reminds us that seeking truth, living a life of purpose, is a journey worth taking, even if it comes at a price. His story challenges us to think critically, to never take anything for granted, and to stand up for what we believe in, even in the face of adversity. And those are lessons that will never go out of style.
Truer words have never been spoken. This deep dive into ancient Athens, it's taken us far beyond dusty scrolls and crumbling ruins. We've wrestled with profound questions about truth, justice, and the courage to challenge the norm. And those are conversations that, thankfully, continue to this day. So until next time, keep asking those tough questions and remember the legacy of Socrates, a man who dared to challenge the world and in doing so changed it forever.